LeBron James is 41 years old, yet he's training harder than players half his age. From brutal workouts and some of the craziest exercises he's ever shared to sessions that have left NBA fans speechless. And with trade rumors swirling about where he'll play next, his offseason has become one of the biggest stories in basketball. Let me break it down. Let's start with the moment that got everyone talking. Hours before the news broke that LeBron was walking away from the Lakers, he was in his home gym listening to Jeezy, working through a set that had nothing to do with basketball drills. It was pure conditioning. James got in a sweat session while listening to Jeezy's Go Hard, and at one point during the workout, he stripped off his shirt to do some plyo ball work. Mid-set, he paused to check himself in the mirror. He briefly paused the conditioning to show off his topless frame in a mirror selfie, and his ripped abs were visible in the flick. The caption he slapped on it summed up the whole mood: go hard or go home. That single post landed like a warning shot. Here's a guy who within hours would confirm the end of an 8-year chapter with one franchise. And instead of nostalgia, instead of a highlight reel, he gave the internet abs and a plyo ball. That's the temperature of this whole situation. No sentimental exit tour, just a body that looks like it's preparing for war. Now here's where the title's second half comes in, because this isn't just about LeBron grinding in a gym for the sake of it. This is a man in the middle of an actual unresolved trade and free agency storm. LeBron James will return for an unprecedented 24th season in the NBA, but it won't be with the Los Angeles Lakers, after James informed the Lakers that the franchise can move on without him. Clutch Sports CEO Rich Paul told ESPN's Shams Charania, "That's not a retirement. That's not a farewell tour. That's a man telling one of the most storied franchises in sports history that he's still got enough left to go find a new home for it." Jeannie Buss didn't fight it. She released a statement thanking him for the 8 years, name-checking the title he delivered under bizarre circumstances and the records he broke in the uniform. LeBron James is one of the greatest athletes in history. We will always be thankful for his 8 years with the Lakers, including the title he led us to in 2020 under the toughest imaginable circumstances, and the countless records he broke in purple and gold. Lakers Governor Jeannie Buss said in a statement, "LeBron responded the way he usually does, short, controlled, respectful." James posted to X that it was truly an honor to wear the Lakers uniform, and that, "I hope I made a few proud during my stint." But respectful goodbyes aside, the real story is what happens next, because nobody knows where he's playing. The Cleveland Cavaliers and Miami Heat, the other teams James has played for in his career, are also expected to be in the running to sign him. Golden State's name is in the mix too, tangled up with a separate Anthony Davis trade domino. Draymond Green declined his player option, opening up flexibility for the Warriors to pursue James and a possible trade with the Washington Wizards for Anthony Davis. Though the Wizards are not interested in moving on from Davis, and Warriors decision makers have been given no indication that Golden State is the firm landing spot for James. So picture the scene. A 41-year-old future Hall of Famer is simultaneously the single biggest domino in the entire NBA offseason. And he's spending his mornings doing plyo ball drills shirtless in his home gym like a rookie trying to make a roster. That combination, a body being pushed to its absolute limit while his basketball future hangs in total uncertainty, is exactly the story we're digging into. Because whatever team ends up with LeBron this fall isn't getting a guy coasting on reputation. They're getting a guy who trains like his career started yesterday. And that's before you even get to what his actual workouts look like. This isn't a man doing light jogs and calling it a day. Multiple reports and his own admissions on his podcast paint a picture of a training schedule that would break most 25-year-olds, let alone someone about to turn 42 in December. James, who will turn 42 in December, could have returned for a 9th season with the Lakers or retired as arguably the greatest basketball player. But instead he chose door number 3. Keep playing, keep grinding, and let some other franchise figure out how to fit him in. There's also a personal wrinkle nobody's talking enough about. This entire decision doesn't just affect LeBron, it affects his son. He also became the first player in the league to have a son as a teammate, with Bronny James playing alongside him with the Lakers. Wherever LeBron lands, that partnership either continues or it doesn't. And reports suggest LeBron has already started dropping hints about where Bronny might end up too, tying father and son's basketball futures together in a way the league has never had to sort out before. So here's where we are. A body in its 23rd year of professional punishment is being pushed through workouts that read like a training camp invite list cut, not a farewell lap. A franchise that gave him a championship is releasing tribute statements while he's already looking elsewhere. And 6 or more teams are sliding into his agent's inbox, trying to convince him their gym. their roster. Their city is the one worth spending a 24th season in. That's the collision course we're on. Now let's get into exactly what that training actually looks like, because insane doesn't begin to cover it. If you want to understand how a 41-year-old is still averaging real minutes in this league, you have to start with the calendar he's built for himself. LeBron laid it out himself on his podcast, Mind the Game, sitting across from Steve Nash, and it sounds less like an athlete's summer routine and more like a military operation. James's preparation starts over the summer. The Lakers star said that when he's super locked in, he tries to spend 5 days a week in the gym, with Saturday as a recovery day and Sunday as a prep day. 5 days every single week, no holidays built in, no easing into it. And within those 5 days, there's a hierarchy of pain. James told Nash that Monday is the most strenuous day, while Tuesday is a lot of running, but a lot of just catch and shooting, getting your legs back under you. Think about that sequencing for a second. He doesn't ease into the week. He front loads the worst of it, then spends the next day trying to physically recover his legs while still doing shooting reps. There's no soft entry point. What's shifted, according to both James and Nash, isn't the intensity, it's the target. Both he and Nash agreed that the general goal of NBA workouts has changed from strength training to targeting improved mobility during workouts. That's a real evolution in how guys at his age survive this league. It's not about how much weight you can move anymore. It's about whether your hips, your ankles, your lower back can absorb an NBA season without snapping. Still, the weight room hasn't disappeared. I usually lift 3 days out of the week, where I'm in the weight room lifting, and then the other 2 days, I'm just doing the ball work, band work, mobility stuff, James said. 3 days of lifting on top of running, shooting, and band work for a guy who's already logged more regular season minutes than almost anyone alive. And this is supposedly his baseline. It gets worse from there, because once August hits, LeBron flips a switch. The intensity of James's workouts levels up after the first week of August, when James said he starts prepping for the NBA preseason. His reasoning is simple and honestly kind of brutal. There's no way to get in game shape in the off-season, James said. So instead of trying to simulate game shape artificially, he treats the ramp-up like its own separate training block, building week over week until his body can actually survive real basketball again. He's even developed his own internal meter for tracking this. It's not about how he feels, it's about water breaks. James said his gauge to tell how in shape he is depends on how often he has to break for water during his workouts. If he's doing a 45-minute court workout and needing a drink every 5 to 7 minutes, he knows he's got to get better. And it's only when he gets down to needing just one break in 45 minutes that he knows he's at a really good pace. That's the kind of detail that tells you this isn't a guy following a generic plan handed to him by a trainer. He's built his own diagnostic system after 2 decades of trial and error, and he's still running it at 41, the same way he probably ran it at 25. And even with all that preparation, the jump to real basketball still knocks him sideways. Even after months of preparing, James told Nash that the adjustment to gameplay during the preseason is so intense he can't feel anything below his lower back after games. Read that again. This is a guy who spent an entire summer doing 5-day training weeks, 3 lifting sessions, mobility work, running, shooting, and preseason basketball still leaves the lower half of his body numb. That's not a guy who's lucking his way through longevity. That's a guy whose body still gets humbled by the sport every single year and who keeps showing up anyway. His attitude toward that pain is almost matter of fact. "You're like, I hate getting out of shape," James said. It's like, oh, but I wonder how other people feel that haven't done anything. So you've just got to stay tapped in. There's no complaint buried in there. It's closer to a threat directed at Father Time. He's not going to be the guy who let himself slip, because he's seen what happens to guys who do. And the routine doesn't stop once the games start. James added that he has a similarly rigorous practice schedule during the season. There's no off-season only version of this. The 5-day mentality, the water break gauge, the mobility obsession, all of it rolls straight into the regular season on top of actual games. Now stack this next to the numbers he's still producing. Despite being the oldest active player in the league, James is somehow putting up numbers that rival his game 10 years ago. Currently boasting one of the highest scoring averages in the league, just ahead of Steph Curry and behind Damian Lillard in the middle of his 22nd season, competing against guys in their 20s and early 30s. More recently, even on a Lakers team going through change, he was still logging serious production, The 41-year-old is coming off a season in which he averaged 20.9 points, 7.2 assists, and 6.1 rebounds on 51.5% shooting. That's the payoff of everything above. 5-day training weeks, water break gauges, numb lower backs in preseason, all of it in service of staying at a level that shouldn't even be mathematically possible for a man his age. And this is just the schedule. The actual exercises inside that schedule get a lot stranger and a lot more intense. Once you get past the calendar and into the actual exercises, LeBron's training starts to look less like an NBA workout and more like something built for a decathlete trying to survive a war. Reports on his regimen describe entire days built around supersets, stacking movements back-to-back with almost no rest, forcing the body to keep firing under fatigue instead of resetting between sets. One breakdown of his plan lays out just how unforgiving a single day can be. Day 1 of James' superset-infused workout regimen includes a 5-minute warm-up jog on a treadmill, succeeded by 6 supersets of strength training exercises, starting with 3 sets of forearm planks, each lasting 60 seconds, followed by 3 sets of side planks also lasting 60 seconds each. That's before he's touched a weight. That's just the warm-up phase of core work. From there, it escalates. Rest for 1 minute before performing 3 sets of 30 push-ups and 3 sets of 12 pull-ups, 90 push-ups and 36 pull-ups, layered on top of 6 minutes of planks, all inside a single workout. Then it closes out with explosive strength work. James's final 2 strength training exercises include 3 sets of dumbbell snatches and 1 arm cable row, each set 10 repetitions, before day 1 is capped off by a 20-minute cardio session on a stationary bike. And that's just day 1 of a multi-day cycle that keeps building. Day 2 begins with a 5-minute warm-up jog on a treadmill to increase heart rate and prepare the body for another bout of high-intensity interval training. There's no rest day tucked into that sequence. It's straight from one grueling session into another, built around interval training. What makes this stranger is who this workout is actually designed for. This isn't a plan built for a 22-year-old trying to make an NBA roster. It's built by and for a man old enough to have a kid on his own team. James's intense workout regimen consists of 4 workouts, each incorporating supersets designed to minimize rest periods for strength and endurance, and his devotion to high-intensity interval training is optimal for an athlete who frequently sprints in bursts of 94 feet on the hardwood. Then there's the diet side of it, which is just as unforgiving. LeBron eats a quasi-paleo diet, cutting out processed foods, white sugar, and dairy, instead focusing on fruits, veggies, nuts, lean meats, and fish. And during certain stretches, the results have been extreme. During a particularly intense 67-day training session, LeBron reportedly dropped around 20 lbs of body fat, 20 pounds of fat gone in just over 2 months, while presumably maintaining or building muscle to hold his frame together for another 82-game grind. The exercise selection leans hard into explosive, athletic movement rather than pure gym bro strength. Body weight exercises, including push-ups, pull-ups, and plyometric movements, are an essential part of LeBron's daily training, incorporating body weight resistance with heart-pounding jump rope cardio, and he incorporates explosive movements like box jumps and wind sprints to increase his speed and agility. There's also a piece of equipment that keeps showing up in his sessions that most casual gym goers have never even touched. LeBron is a fan of using the VersaClimber, a vertical climbing cardio machine that is popular and widely available in most gyms. It's brutal on the legs and lungs at the same time. A machine that basically simulates climbing a rope ladder against resistance, non-stop. And the weight training itself isn't light work either. LeBron does some form of weight training, a minimum of 3x per week. Most of his workouts, low reps and heavy weights, focusing on large muscle groups with exercises like bench press, squats, and deadlifts, using weights heavy enough that his muscles feel at failure with just 4 to 6 repetitions. That's a strength approach built for someone half his age, and he's running it deep into his 40s. Some of the most viral clips of him lately haven't even come from formal training footage. They've come from him just showing up unannounced. One story that made rounds recently described him walking into a random gym setting and turning it into a full session. LeBron James stunned staff at Southampton High School on Friday when he showed up for a private workout, and rising senior Alex Franklin was invited to rebound for the NBA legend, ending up getting a once-in-a-lifetime training session from the king himself. A teenager pulled off the bench to rebound for a guy about to enter his 24th professional season. That's the gap in generations this training bridges every single day. And that's really the through line of this whole section. It's not one insane exercise, it's the accumulation. Plank stacks, pull-up sets, dumbbell snatches, versiclimber sprints, box jumps, wind sprints, heavy squats, layered week after week, year after year, on a body that by every normal athletic standard should have broken down a decade ago. It hasn't, and that's exactly why 6 NBA front offices are currently fighting over where he plays next. Here's where the body meets the business. Because all that training doesn't exist in a vacuum. It exists because LeBron is, right now, the single most contested free agent in the league, and the recruiting effort behind the scenes has turned into one of the strangest sagas of the offseason. Start with the numbers. For the first time since 2018, LeBron James is available in free agency. After informing the Los Angeles Lakers last month that he intends to play his 24th NBA season elsewhere, ending his 8-year run with the franchise. That's the first domino. Everything else in the league has been shaped around waiting for his answer. His agent has been doing the rounds. James's agent, Rich Paul, said last week that he had spoken to 27 teams about him, including the Cleveland Cavaliers, Golden State Warriors, and Miami Heat. 27 teams. That's basically the entire league, minus a handful of obvious non-contenders, all trying to get some piece of a 41-year-old's final years. What's he actually looking for? Not a farewell tour, according to people close to him. James wants to play meaningful, competitive basketball at his next stop. A source familiar with James's thinking told ESPN's Dave McMenamin that single detail rules out a lot of teams purely interested in the jersey sales and the marketing bump. Cleveland's pitch writes itself. The Cavs' pitch to James is obviously a final homecoming. He has played 11 seasons and 1,001 regular season and playoff games for the franchise, and his sprawling mansion outside Akron is an easy drive to the practice facility. On top of the sentimental case, the roster actually has pieces. The roster is appealing too. It is built out with size in Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, ball handling in Harden and Schroeder, and scoring in Donovan Mitchell and Harden. Miami's pitch is a different kind of dangerous. James, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Bam Adebayo might represent the most athletic and versatile frontcourt in NBA history, with Antetokounmpo and Adebayo shouldering most of the defensive burden, and the fast break options terrifying to imagine. There are real questions about shooting around that trio, and the front office doesn't have many extra assets left after acquiring Giannis in the first place. But the coaching staff gives it credibility. There are spacing and shooting concerns, and the asset cupboard is bare after the trade to get Antetokounmpo, but trusting Eric Spoelstra, Pat Riley, and Andy Ellisberg to maximize a season is always a good bet. Then there's Golden State, which has turned into the most emotionally loaded option purely because of one man. With Jimmy Butler III out for a big chunk of the season recovering from an ACL tear, the Warriors roster isn't quite comparable to others on this list. But James thrived playing with Stephen Curry in the 2024 Olympics, where James won tournament MVP and Curry starred alongside him in the semifinals and gold medal game. Curry himself has been publicly making the case, telling reporters directly what the Bay Area offers. Curry spoke on what the Warriors could offer James, saying the pitch is about wanting to play good basketball, around people who know how to play the game, hopefully raising the floor and the competitiveness this year, adding that there's good golf in the Bay. His agent apparently already flagged that golf detail as something that matters to LeBron personally. Mentioning golf was a not-so-sly reference to James's agent, Rich Paul, saying indoor and outdoor golf were important to his friend and client. Beyond the 3 obvious suitors, the field is somehow even wider. His agent, Rich Paul, candidly discussed some of the potential fits, citing the New York Knicks, Philadelphia 76ers, and Boston Celtics, among others. The Sixers, in particular, appear to be leaning on their own front office weight to make a statement. The Philadelphia 76ers may be perceived as gaining an advantage in the competition for James's services, with Bob Myers, president of Harris Blitzer Sports and Entertainment, appearing on Paul's Game Over podcast. There's an entire secondary layer to this recruiting battle that reads almost like a spy operation. Teams aren't just calling Rich Paul. Some are sending voice memos straight to him to relay to LeBron. Teams pursuing the 4-time NBA MVP are making their recruiting pitches via voice memos. sent to James's agent and then relayed to the four-time NBA champion, with who is speaking on those notes serving as an indication of how important James is viewed by the teams making their pitches. A few have even had their owner, president, or general manager record one personally. Even players outside the main contenders have taken their shot. Indiana's star point guard reportedly reached out directly, only to get shut down almost instantly. Tyrese Halliburton said he made a recruiting attempt to bring LeBron to Indiana, even before he let the Lakers know he would be leaving, but stopped his pursuit when James responded with 2 crying, laughing emojis. That's the kind of blunt rejection only LeBron gets to hand out at this stage of his career. When asked directly by a young fan what this entire process feels like, LeBron gave one of his longest public answers on the subject. "This is the 3rd time in my career I've been a free agent," James said. "It's a big decision, not only for myself, but my family as well. This is the last part of my career and where I want to spend the last few years, or last year, or last 2 years of my NBA career." He followed it up by describing what he thinks he still brings to any locker room he walks into. "I'm a natural-born leader. I'm going to try to fit into whatever team I go to, but also give them all the tools and knowledge I've been able to grasp over the last 23 years. Meanwhile, executives around the league are trying to read the tea leaves on what he actually wants versus what makes basketball sense. One executive summed up the tension perfectly. One NBA executive pointed out, "I think in his heart, he wants to play for the Warriors, but as a competitor, he wants to compete for a championship, and it's hard to see how the Venn diagram of those two things lines up." There's also a geography argument working against some of his most sentimental options. He won't make much of a dent if he stays in the West, even if he goes to Minnesota or Denver. That's why the Warriors have been pushed to trade for Anthony Davis, so that James's arrival will actually change the balance of power and not just be a nice closing story. But that Davis move keeps stalling. The Warriors still do not want to trade for Davis, and the Wizards still do not want to trade him, despite his lengthy stay on the trade rumor mill. Even the timeline keeps sliding. A decision from LeBron James is nigh, and after we were told last week that it would be this week, we are being told this week that it will be next week. Either way, the trade rumor mill is going to burst if James does not pick soon. One insider even flagged why the East makes more sense strategically. One reason we keep hearing that James could land in the Eastern Conference is that his arrival on any of the teams in the mix for his services would push that team to the top of the list of challengers for the Knicks. So that's the chessboard. 6+ franchises, voice memos, a rejected point guard recruiter, a Curry sales pitch about golf courses, and an entire trade market bending around one man's decision. All while that same man is spending his mornings doing dumbbell snatches and VersaClimber sprints, like he's trying out for a roster spot instead of dictating where the league's power shifts next. So where does all of this actually land? A player old enough to be teammates with his own son, deep into a stretch of his career that should have ended years ago by any normal measure, still running a 5-day training week that leaves his legs numb by preseason, still commanding the attention of nearly every front office in the league. There's a quieter detail buried in all of this that says as much as the workouts do. He's the first player in league history to reach this many seasons at all, let alone still performing at a level that keeps GMs sending voice memos to his agent. He was the first player in league history to log 23 seasons. He'll add at least one more to that this season. Everything from the planks to the VersaClimber to the numb lower back after preseason games exists to protect that streak, not just extend it. And the personal stakes haven't disappeared just because the business side is loud. Whatever team wins this recruiting battle isn't just adding a future Hall of Famer. They're potentially inheriting a father-son dynamic the league has never had to navigate twice. Reports have already started connecting where Bronny might end up to wherever LeBron signs, meaning this decision ripples through more than just one roster spot. What's left unresolved deliberately is the answer itself. As of the latest reporting, no team has locked it in. The Cavs have the homecoming argument and real size on the roster. The Heat have the front court combination that terrifies opposing coaches on paper. The Warriors have Curry's personal pitch and the promise of golf courses, even if the roster fit is shakier. The Sixers have front office muscle whispering in his agent's ear. The Knicks and Celtics are still floating out there as options nobody's ruled out. What isn't in question is the body underneath all of it. 20 pounds of fat gone in 67 days at one point in his career. 90 push-ups and 36 pull-ups packed into a single-day superset. 5-day weeks that don't slow down even during a free agency circus that would distract almost anyone else on the planet. A teenager pulled off a high school bench to rebound for him on a random Friday, because showing up unannounced to put in work is just what this stage of his career looks like now. Whichever jersey he puts on for his 24th season, the version of LeBron James walking into that locker room won't be a farewell to a passenger. He'll be the same guy tracking his conditioning by how many water breaks he needs in a 45-minute session, still chasing that one-break pace he's been chasing his entire career. The decision on where is still hanging. The training that got him here never stopped for a single day waiting on it. LeBron James details his intense weekly off-season training regimen, SI. LeBron James reveals training schedule. Diet during Lakers season and off-season. Bleacher Report. LeBron James hit gym. Flexed ripped abs just before shocking Lakers decision went public. Yahoo Sports. Train like a king. Inside LeBron James's workout plan. Fit Day. The JRD LeBron James workout. Jump rope dudes. LeBron James training in the gym. TikTok. LeBron James informs Lakers he plans to play elsewhere in 2026. 27. ESPN. 2026 NBA Buzz. Latest Summer League. Free agency. Trade updates. ESPN. What 6 teams can offer LeBron James. ESPN. NBA Free Agency News 2026 Yahoo Sports. NBA trade rumors. LeBron James dilemma. Heat's next moves and Lakers targets. Heavy. Reports. LeBron James will play for team other than Lakers in 2026-27. NBA.com.